Greetings and salutations, old friends and hopefully some new friends, and welcome back to Truthseekers. We begin tonight's show with an admission and an apology from me, because I believe that one is truly owed here in this case that we'll be talking about tonight. You see, some time ago, a former military woman and Defense Intelligence Agency employee held a press conference at the Washington or Lincoln Monument. And that would be our guest tonight, known as Anjali. There in the nation's capital, she claimed that she met a couple at a coffee shop who took her to a mountain where she had an incredible experience inside that mountain in an apparent alien base where she met several different races of extraterrestrials or higher beings. Now, we've covered that press conference, but I was far too skeptical. I was skeptical of everything. Her education, her military service, her employment history, and even if the friends or the mountain that she described were actually real or just imagined. Now, I know that I was wrong, so wrong, about a great many things. After her press conference and my initial dismissal of most of her claims, a few researchers and I got together and began really digging into her story. First, I verified her education, so I was completely wrong about that, or any claims that I made that her education was likely fake. I was wrong. Her educational claims are 100% real. Next, I and several others began looking for these anonymous sources to see if they were real or just her imaginary friends. At first thinking, I even said it, and I apologize for saying it now. I said those were her imaginary friends. They don't exist. Her story is fake. The mountain is fake. These people aren't real. But God bless the research capabilities of some of the people on UFO Twitter, because with very little to go on, just that her friend Wayne was a construction company owner who owned a mountain, against all odds, I believe we found her Wayne and her mountain. Now, I wish I could take total credit for that, but honestly, I all but struck out at first. I called over 100 construction companies trying to speak to the owners, and imagine that conversation, trying to grill them on aliens and if they owned a mountain or knew anything about this Anjali person in Washington making these statements. I was unsuccessful in finding, at first, a construction company owner who owned a mountain. And again, I got arrogant and started saying, this guy doesn't exist. It's her imaginary friend. But I was wrong. Luckily, other researchers were trying different angles and following up on different leads, including Charlie Weiser and James Conrad, who found one construction company in the area they thought may fit. Then James looked up property records, and imagine this, a construction company owner who lived in the area and yes, owned a huge property, over 100 acres, had a mountain on it. Charlie Weiser then scoured social media posts and also found Nick. We believe that we have found him, her friend who went to the coffee shop with her. We can verify all of this, much of this, through social media posts. He was friends with Anjali, and his social media posts confirmed that he was in the area during the time frame she said he was. Next, Anjali recently sent me her resume and various proofs of her military claims and employment history. She sent me proofs that these things are real. Now, I haven't had enough time with them yet, and I'm no expert, but in the short time I've had them, I can say that the documents all appear to be legitimate. And while I'm still sure that I need to do some additional checking, I feel confident right now in saying that her education, her employment history, and her military service are real. We are all too skeptical. We have seen far too many people come out with stories of this type, and their backgrounds are fake, their educations are fake. I jump to conclusions. I also jump to conclusions about the friends that she wants to remain anonymous. They are real, not imagined or made up. So I owe her a huge apology for jumping to those conclusions and saying her background was probably fake or her friends are probably not real. We've seen so many frauds with fake military service, fake education, fake employment histories that I just assumed she was just another fraud in a long line of UFO hucksters. I didn't even give her the benefit of the doubt or do my due diligence before saying some of the things that I said on a previous show. And for that, I apologize to her and I apologize to my audience. You should never do research by proclamation, and someone without doing the work shouldn't even open their mouth. The truth is, I put my mouth in gear before having any facts in hand. So again, I apologize because that was wrong of me. Now, without further ado, let's bring in our guest tonight, Anjali. Hi, Anjali.
Hi.
I never thought that you and I would do this. I never thought I would speak to you, and I hope that you know that my apology and my hat in my hand here and my eating crow is sincere. And I hope you understand the reasons why I may have jumped to conclusions, having seen so many people with fake educations, fake backgrounds. I mean, are you aware of just how many people come out with stories like yours, and then it turns out they didn't work where they said they worked, they didn't have the military service? It's very common that these stories are brought by people whose backgrounds are problematic at best. But in your case, I will stand here and say I was wrong about a great many things. So I thought that would be a good place to start our talk.
Well, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that, Stephen. You don't need to eat crow. The apology is enough, and it's sincere, and all is forgiven. I really don't understand the history of the UFO community, but I'm learning. I think they call it proxy by fire.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
you're really going through a trial by fire because it seems that your story has ignited a great deal of controversy and curiosity, and there are people on both sides, and I felt like the skeptical side people were far too quick, like me, to just dismiss you and say her story's fake. But the problem that I have now is if your education is real, if your background is real, if your friends that I thought weren't real turned out to be real, if this mountain is real, then why should I not give you the benefit of the doubt and have a conversation and see what can be learned?
Thank you. Thank you. That's really all I asked for. So please, whatever questions you have. Um,
Yeah, and I want to take a moment just to advise the live chat of two things. Number one, I promised that we would be respectful of our guests tonight. So you can ask questions, you can discuss, but please be respectful of our guests tonight. We don't want to ever be disrespectful to a guest. And number two, sometimes we read all the super chats. We're going to read them all after the interview because I don't want to interrupt. This is far too important to stop every 2 minutes. So I'll thank every single super chat at the end. We'll read them all. But for now, we're going to dive right into the questions. I thought I could start with something, and again, this question is with respect, Anjali, but you and I have something in common, actually. And it's something that I keep coming back to when I listen to or think about your story. You described meeting a lavender being, because honestly, I once met a purple being. And I also had an experience where I thought higher beings had taken me out of my body and put me back in. But in my case, it was under the influence of DMT. And many people are asking about your experience and is there some relation to DMT because so many people have a DMT experience that is very similar to yours. Can you talk about that? Do you think that is there a possibility that you were dosed with a hallucinogen, perhaps unknowingly, and that is the cause of your experience? What do you think?
um, I think that we'll know soon enough. My I can't tell you what I experienced was or was not like a particular hallucinogen. I know this is the biggest talk out there, or one of the biggest.
Have you ever done a hallucinogenic drug?
I have had it's a synthetic mushroom. It was developed in a lab, and like at a university, like at a university lab, had been purchased that way. And what I was told was that it was a synthetic mushroom. And it was from someone that I trusted very much. Um,
Okay.
and it was a powder, kind of a tan powder.
And did you
Um,
find that hallucinogenic experience similar to this experience you're having with aliens or completely different?
no, no, what I was about to say is that I was really disappointed because Other than having what I would say some euphoria with that synthetic, with that powder that I was talking about. It, I had some euphoria. I colors were a little more vivid, and I saw some auras a little bit, but nothing out of the ordinary otherwise. And I
And were
was
you
really disappointed because I was thinking, here I
you were
was,
going to have a great experience, yeah. Well,
I
there's
was
so many variants, and some of them are, yeah, just kind of like trails and euphoria. Were you aware, however, that it is an incredibly common part of a DMT experience to see a purple being? Because I did. There's people on the internet that make videos about the purple being. It is a very common part of the DMT experience. The most common reported thing that people say after a DMT experience is, I saw a purple being.
okay. Wow. No, didn't know that. I what I have understood about DMT from just from what people have told me. A lot of people have suggested to me that perhaps when what I would say is the beginning of this stage of contact with the beings, in 2017 when I was in the hospital, a lot of people were suggesting then that when the woman who had just passed came to see me, that I was maybe having a DMT release. And me not knowing anything about DMT, I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, people say you can hallucinate. Maybe that's what I was having. Maybe I had a DMT release. And so I kind of went with it until after I came out on the alien subreddit and started looking into like the artwork that people have done of what they see when they're on DMT. And I'm like, stop the press. That doesn't look anything like what I experienced. Like what I experienced was in a completely normal environment. However, there are some higher beings that happen to be standing at the end of the tunnel inside of a base. And I'm getting a little confused now. You know what I'm saying? As I'm going in, like things are feeling a little different. I'm not as clear as I was a moment before. And that's when the experience of being with them began. And I was upright. I mean, if I took some or was dosed with some kind of hallucinogen, um, I would really like to know what it was because I walked up and down a mountain and was quite active, went through a tunnel. I was lucid. Everything looked normal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was nothing different except at the destination, there actually were beings of another race that I was about to engage with.
Yeah, and boy,
You tell me
what an incredible
exactly.
story. We're going to get into it. This next question is very important too, and this is sent from Charlie Weiser actually, and I think this is one of the problems that I had with the story as well, and that is, why are you waiting 3 years to return to this cave that you say that you met aliens at? Because if it were me or most other people that I know who are so interested in this topic, I wouldn't be able to keep myself away from that place. I'd have to go back and try to get evidence or do something. And so people are a little confused about, why would you wait 3 years to return there?
I can't give you an answer to that. I can tell you the the path of my contact at the time with my friends, um, and my attempt to contact and reach them that was unsuccessful, which I've already talked about. Um, I would say that if you know anything about Southern California, it's not the kind of place that you go and trespass,
No, I
right?
know about it.
It's
Yeah,
unreasonable,
I've been through that desert in a van, and it's
right?
not a fun place. You got to make sure that you have water, or you could die. It's that strange of a place, you know.
It is. Even in the higher elevation, it's still very difficult to find water. And, um, you know, so it wasn't an area that I felt like, look, it never even crossed my mind to try to trespass or to go against his will. It was almost, this isn't going to make sense. And I know that I'm probably going to get grilled on it. And that's fine because none of you have walked in my shoes unless you have. And then this will make sense to you.
So, did you have to negotiate with Wayne to be able to come back? I'm
Wait,
sorry.
Stephen, it's like
Sure.
they just didn't want me to, and I knew that I wasn't going to go back. Like I couldn't just go back because I wanted to. I toiled and toiled at home for weeks, just desperate to get back. Um, and it was very difficult. Later, they came and actually visited me physically, and I have other memories of being back in the base, but I don't really know what happened there. Um, so anyway, I just need you guys to understand that
Sure.
it's not real black and white all the time. It's pretty confusing on my end too.
Yeah, and one can speculate that you don't know what effects on the human brain even being in proximity to these beings could have. There,
That's
there
right.
could be there could be a great deal of memory confusion or other things. And also I thought we have more common ground. Barbara Lamb is part of your story and did a hypnotic regression for you, but some
Yes,
people have found fault and problem with that. And by the way, I love Barbara Lamb. Her and I had a nice talk one time, and we disagreed on many things, but I love her. She reminds me of my grandmother, my favorite grandmother. She's
she's
just
so
awesome.
yes,
So,
she's
so,
just sweet. Yes.
but the question that I and many people have is, if you've gone into this tunnel and you've been inside this alien base and you've met these aliens, wouldn't those memories be vivid and immediately accessible? And like, why did you need a hypnotic regression to sort of organize the experience for you?
I don't know. I don't know. I would say that once again, um, as nebulous as it is and as unsatisfying as it is to hear, that's part of the phenomena of of, you know of the experience of the phenomena. Is this? I can't explain why I only had partial memories. I can't explain why through meditation I was able to uncover more, which really made me want to reach out to Barbara, because that was when I began after after I came out on Reddit. Um, that after that, and I really upped my meditation and my commitment to understanding more what had happened to me, because at that time things were just really not clear. And I'm not saying that they're clear now. It's just there's a lot there's a lot more that I see, but I know that there's a lot of mud still. It's like I can't see the bottom.
Yeah,
I have
muddy
no idea
waters.
how it goes on and on and on. I have no idea.
Speaking of meditation, many people have been very critical of your social media presence and interactions. But I know myself that being in the spotlight can be a double-edged sword. And some of your internet interactions have been, let's just say, emotionally charged and difficult. And I wanted to know, do you regret some of the way that some of this stuff has been handled? Because I know that you're right now unblocking everyone that was once blocked and trying to be more transparent.
That's right. I am. I'm also human, and it's funny. Like as soon as you start talking about consciousness and transcendence, it's like people think that I think that I've already done it or something, and that I'm like preaching something, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to share what they're saying to me because it feels pretty damn important, and if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Um, it's it's a personal choice that people make. They don't have to be anywhere but at home. Um, so anyway, I guess I guess what I wanted to really say is that there have been some instances in which, yes, I do regret. No, I don't regret it. I apologize, and I held to a higher standard than I hold anyone else. Um, I'm done berating the heck out of myself to try to sit on somebody's pedestal. I'm just not interested. I'm just having a human experience, and part of it is, this and this conscious contact, and I know how it's transformed my life, and I want to share that with other people.
Well, that's fair. And
I,
we have a lot of audience interaction here, and I got a
yes,
question from one of our audience members that made me think all day. It made me think all day. Now we've talked about DMT and sort of eliminated that as a possibility. So
I'm sorry, say that again.
we've talked about DMT and sort of, I suppose, eliminated that as a possibility for what caused your experience. But V asks, for the sake of argument, that let's say you're being truthful about your whole experience. Are you open to the possibility that you may be A, being deceived, or B, not actually communicating with aliens, but with a fractal of your own psyche?
No on that second part. And read the first part again.
Are you open to the possibility you may be being deceived in some way?
I am open to every possibility.
Well, that's
I,
very fair.
I have no idea any more than anyone else. I can tell you how it feels. Um, I can tell you how it feels to be in their presence. I can tell you what it feels like when they reach out and communicate. I can tell you that I don't, I've never met anyone personally who gave so much warmth and had so much peace just being. It's such a moving experience just being near them. And I don't know how that's bad. I I look back at who I am and I feel like I'm so much of a better person uh, than I was. So much closer, I guess, to being the kind of person, that I'd hope to be one day.
So
Trying.
you think this experience made you a better person?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So is that profound and life changing of an experience?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's
Now,
it's been the most transformative experience of my life. So
now
far.
again, I want to apologize for things that I said on a previous broadcast because I did speculate, but I do want to ask you directly with great respect. Is it possible that you have some form of mental illness which causes you to hallucinate or hear voices?
If I have some sort of illness that causes me to hallucinate and hear voices, it's something that nobody else has ever had or seen before. I don't know anyone who can operate from a level of psychosis that people are trying to suggest that I come in and out
Sure.
of constantly. Um, and but yet I can have lucid conversations and I can take care of myself and
Yeah,
I'm
now
not.
having talked to you, I discount that possibility as well because
Yeah,
I've known somebody in my family with paranoid schizophrenia, and
that's
they could not maintain a conversation like you can, or speak
no.
intelligently, or articulate advanced thoughts. So a big question I always have to any experiencer then is, did you get some kind of sense? Why are they here? What do they want? And why you?
Okay. Someone just said, hello, Stephen. Um, so you just got a greeting. Um, so
The higher beings are talking to me. That's interesting.
they're acknowledging you. So they're saying like, hello. Whew. And so anyway, um, they,
Why? I asked, why are they here?
right. Um, they are here because they are part of the natural cycle of what we're experiencing ourselves right now. Um, that that I agreed to come here and do this and go through these challenges prior to this incarnation. They say that I have an agreement with them, that I volunteered for this, that this is my work that I do. Um, Now, I'm telling you that this feels right to me. I'm not telling you that I have memory of it being true. I just have how it feels very true. Do you understand? Um,
Sure, sure.
it's like there's this like itch. I don't know how else to explain it, but like I just can't quite reach something, um, and I try. But so they say that they're here to facilitate uh, our choices at the end of this cycle. That's a very natural cycle that comes to a natural conclusion. Um, that we will be moving into a non-temporal, uh, more of a shift in the way that we perceive time and how we can interact with space, and that this is natural as well, and it's on a cycle. They like keep showing me like a cycle, like a wheel that's moving, like a wheel, um, and that this that cycle is ending right now because the Earth is like has its own consciousness. Like I'm going to say she because it makes me just
Yeah,
more.
Mother Earth. I'm good with that.
Yeah, we all talk about Mother Earth, but right or wrong, that like that the Earth itself has a density of its own consciousness, and that it is itself transcending into a higher density of light consciousness, which is essentially they show me like it's like if you could see something like moving very quickly, but so quickly that it's imperceivable, but it goes yeah, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Not really like a top. Um,
And you know,
but
I did want to ask you because a lot of the parts of your story, with respect again, it's kind of like some new age things that I've heard before. You know, higher densities and raise your vibration. This is very common, and there have been a lot of people out there selling Ascension for years. You could buy their courses on Ascension. You could buy their books on how to ascend, and nobody ever seems to ascend. But your thing seems to be transcension, and I wanted to know what is the difference between ascension and transcension? Because you've mentioned that these beings are here to help us to transcend, and I'm a bit unclear on the difference.
I I don't know what they mean by ascension. It sounds very um, Judeo-Christian oriented, so I could probably take a stab at it, but I won't. Um,
It's taken from the rapture. It's similar to rapture, where the people who are out there teaching ascension are basically saying that the few people who prepare themselves are going to be ready for this event, and they will ascend, and everybody else, I don't know where they end up. But it's been a long-standing New Age belief. So when I heard you talking about transcension, I just wondered, is this the same thing that all these other New Age gurus have discussed, called ascension?
okay, first of all, I'm going to unpack the implication, which is that I am a New Age guru. You
Well, I
said
apologize for that
a New Age
characterization.
guru. Yes, that is a mischaracterization. And
Sure. So my apologies.
thank you. Um, I First of all, the idea of vibrations and frequencies with manipulating them and their role in energy and the move they're showing like the movement of stone, and they're saying they did use of vibration and a talk of vibration that it's not new, that it isn't a new age belief. It's just, it was essentially, it was forgotten. It's like forgotten knowledge more than it is new knowledge. It's forgotten knowledge. And that's just part of the cycle, and the waking up is the transcending part. It's realizing your connection um, to all sorts of consciousness. Um, that there is an observer, that you yourself, you can observe yourself, and what is that? What is that observer? That observer is the source of all consciousness. It's like that's where we all manifest from, and and they want us to understand that because it's important for our ability to transcend, and our ability to, it helps to facilitate our choice about what we want to do next. Um, is there anything in that I need to clarify?
No, I think I get it, but I guess we can move on to some other
I mean, we
things.
can go deeper if that's not satisfactory. I
No,
mean,
I thought we would get to conscious contact a bit later too, and some
okay.
more deep explanation of that because I find that interesting. But on the list of questions here, I have a lot of questions about things that I have seen people be very critical during this year coming out and Reddit and one of the things is money. Because a lot of people who come out with similar stories to you, they jump right into the money. Like let's make a book, a documentary, let's do conferences, let's sell this. But in your case, what I found very interesting is that if you were here to make money, I think you would give yourself more than a few month window to provide the overwhelming evidence and proof you're promising before that window closes and people stop buying stuff because you fail to produce the evidence. But I believe, wasn't there plans for a book and a documentary? And did you change your mind about that? And what is your stance on the whole money thing? Because it's a bit confusing. Some people say you're not making a dime and you refuse to make a dime from this. And other people say, no, she's going to be selling this. She had this on her website. So there's some confusion that I thought we could both clear up so that there's more understanding here about the whole money situation.
That's right. Okay. So I'm really glad that you've had such an interest in this because you'll probably recall if you've listened to that initial Clubhouse interview and the second one, how many times I was prompted by several of the other people on the speaker panel to write a book, that I had to write a book. You got to do it. That's how you do it. It's the only way to get it out. And
I heard that interview where there was 3 people telling you got to write a book. Yeah.
constantly, right? Constant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that they were wrong. It's just that I didn't have a lot of other guidance. That was my first step into the community. And that was the reception that I got is, oh, you've got to write a book. You've got to write a book. And I was very
I heard in the interview you were like, I don't really want to do that, and people were like, no, you have to. That's the way this is done, and generally that is the way it's done. Somebody comes out with a story first, then there's the book, the documentaries, the conference appearances.
right. So I didn't want to write a book. I can I just was continually getting that counsel that that's what I should do, and that I had to have a website, that this is just how you do it, yada, yada, yada. And not that it's not true, it's just that that's how you do it if you have a particular path that you're trying to be on. And that's just not the path I'm trying to be on. But I didn't understand at the time. And so uh, I had a website put up, and I was told before my I think it was the third appearance, you have to get this website up. You have to get this website up. You have to get that order form up. It's not working. It's not working. And
Yeah, even to the point of taking pre-orders for a book that's not yet written, which
right.
people found fault with, and honestly, but I see both sides of the issue. It's because there's so many people that have profited from stories and never provided the proof. But
Right.
like I said, in your case, you're giving us a hard date that like here's the date, and we're going to do it by this time.
Right.
And at first, I wasn't willing to wait either. I was like, no, go right now and get us the proof. Why do we have to wait? Go get the proof if this is real. So, but I'm at the point now where I go, it's already the middle of September. We're going to be in October in 2 short weeks. December is not very far off. So
It's right around the corner.
there's been a lot of critics about that too, because in your initial press conference, you said in a week you would release some names. And so far, we've just got Wayne and one other person, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not using the names. I'm not after the way that I've been treated.
Understandable.
And frankly, there have been people who are interested in being on the team that I would like them to be on the team, and they don't want their names public. They don't want to be on camera. They don't want anybody to know. They just want to be a part of the research and turn over their data. That's it.
Well, I'm just throwing this out there, but I got magnetometers, Geiger counters, thermal cameras, night vision goggles, and spelunking gear. So I'm ready to jump on a plane whenever you want me there, and I will be fair. And I'm just putting it out there. Maybe you can put me in the Twitter poll.
But I want to go back to this website because I feel like it's really
Sure.
important.
Sure.
So the there was never any fee attached to the book, never. The pre-order form was up, it didn't work. It never worked,
Yeah, that
and
happens.
the website began getting attacked. We tried to get a more secure server. We had so many problems that we actually had to like get some, high level involvement. And then I just said, screw it. I just don't even care. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm not writing the book. I'm not going to do it. My life is not important. Just what they're saying is what's important. And what they're saying is going to happen next is what's important. I'm sick of talking about me. I don't want to talk about me. And then the next thing you know, that darn screenshot comes up and I said, oh my God, and you can follow all the comments even.
Sure, and I misunderstood. And what I said as soon as I saw that screenshot is, why would you release a book in October if you're going to have the proof in December? It didn't make any sense to me. So, I was critical. But I understand how, like, peer pressure, and that is how everybody does it. You write the book, you do the documentary, you do the conference appearances. So maybe those people weren't far off in telling you this is how you should do it. But I'm glad that you're doing it your way now.
It's not that they're doing what they're doing is they're getting all of the information out that they're trying to get out. And what I'm doing is I'm going to hopefully introduce these beings to you. Walk right out, eventually, right out of their base, hand in hand. And
I gotta tell you, when I started digging and finding a lot of truth in some of the things that you've said, I said, what if this is real? And I'm the guy that said, this is garbage, and in a few short months, I'm going to look pretty silly, supposed to be a researcher, So, but for the benefit of people too, I want to explain something, and that is this mountain that we found, Anjali has explained that if his privacy is compromised, or the whole thing could be off, and I didn't want to be the reason that happened, or to give an excuse for that to not happen or whatever. So I got in this bad situation here that I have this information, I know this woman's telling the truth now, and what do I do with it? So just for everybody's asking me to give them the location. I'm not doing it. I'm giving her the benefit of the 3 months or whatever she decides. I am not doing it. And I know how people are skeptical. And even though I'm very skeptical and people know me, and I think a lot of people trust me when I say this is the truth and this is what I found. There is another show host that before I talked to Anjali about this, I shared that information, but that would be Erica Lukes from UFO Declassified. She's sworn to secrecy. She's not giving it out. She's not telling anybody anything. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt here. I want to see this really happen. And honestly, I'm on the edge of my seat to see what happens when you go do this. I want to see, whatever happens, I want to see a conclusion to this very amazing story, regardless of what happens.
I think we're going to. I don't know what the conclusion looks like. I don't know exactly what happens after they come forward. Not after the team and after the evidence, but after they come forward. I don't really know what that looks like. I think that I have a pretty good idea, but I don't know necessarily that it's any kind of insight that they've given me, or if it's just my own thinking. So there's sometimes they can be kind of how do I put this? Where they will withhold information, give it to me. How do I say it? A little bit at a time, like just bits.
Drip it out, yeah.
Yes, yeah. That's kind of what I've been going through, and it can be very frustrating, especially when I understand so much more now. But I was so very clear about what I understood at the beginning, and I would say, people would ask me questions, and I would say, "Oh, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea." And then today they can ask me the same question, and I have a very long answer for them. And so people think that that I'm making it up, and people just don't understand how ramped up the contact has become since I came forward. And um, I go
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes.
I could see just from your social media posts and presence that you got to spend hours a day just trying to field questions or keep things on track and keep your mission, such as it is, whatever people think of it, it's your mission here moving forward. And
Yeah,
somebody brought up a good point, and I'm going to ask this question, and this is a tough question. There's a lot of talk, and there have been historical evidence to prove that the United States government has at times sent an agent into the UFO community for whatever reason, to spy, to see what the people are talking about, to put out intentional disinformation. So I just want to know, you have a history of working for the government. Are you right now working for the government in any capacity?
no, I not only am I not, but I would not. Um, I I love humanity and the earth a lot more than I feel an allegiance based on some type of unnatural human made concept of this space belongs to us and the people who live here are better than the people who live there. I just don't buy into anything. Um, and so I don't think that there's a government in the world who would want me, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah, I think that when you start talking about aliens, that might be a problem for some employers, right?
only at a certain level. You get to the right level, and there you found out the people who are listening. I mean, this
Yeah,
isn't,
so
all of this isn't happening in the shadows, and some of it's just happening just right before our eyes, and we're just not quite catching everything. I don't think.
and just to clarify too, if we get back to the money situation,
Oh yeah, sure,
like I said, some people have said you're not going to make any money from this, and other people are saying
right.
no, there's a book. So what is your stance on making money from this story? Is are you going to do a book eventually, or some financial interest here with what you're coming out with, or are you going to do the?
I don't have financial interests. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't think about money, because honestly, that's the reality that we're all facing right now, right? So
We
if I
praise the cash here. We praise
right,
the cash. Yes.
I, well, like
Because for those that don't know, I would speculate that with the amount of attention that you're getting, you could sell 10,000 books easy, easy 10,000 books, and
oh,
that would be quite a financial windfall for somebody to get. Go buy yourself a brand new house after you make this book. People don't realize that there is a lot of money in this stuff. You know.
um, sure, I agree, and I think that I've already matured out of a need for a pursuit for that. I've had plenty and I've had none. And the
Yeah.
happiest,
Ditto.
the happiest time in my life was when I had none, when I had nothing, and I was living much more of a present. Um,
I'm sorry, I got thrown out of my own show there by accident.
was I? Am I still talking? I mean,
Yeah, no, you were fine. You were fine. I clicked when I should have clacked or something, and I bounced myself out. So I apologize.
well,
I'm
that's
just glad it
okay.
wasn't a major hiccup.
No, I forgot what I was saying. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we were talking about the money situation, and yeah, you
Oh,
said
I
you had.
have no desire to make money. I have no desire to make money on this. Um, I
Well,
I
I
have
got a
already.
deal for you then. Here's what we'll do. I'll come with you. I'll write the book, okay, and I'll make the money, and then we're good. Because here's the thing, Anjali, you have to understand too, and I'm joking here, but it's not just you that's going to make money off the story. It's the shows that you're on because they're monetized. We're monetized here, like it's not just you that has, I suppose, a financial interest.
But I don't. I don't have a financial interest. I took that completely off the table. And um, if I write a book, number one, it's not going to be about my experience, okay? Um, uh, or my life, my former contact, none of that. If I
Are
write a
you?
book,
You're good at writing books, though, aren't you?
huh?
Aren't you good at writing books? Didn't I see somewhere that you, for a time, would ghost write books for people?
Yeah. I'm not saying that I'm not a good writer. I'm saying that I'm not interested in writing a book about me. I'm not interested. If I were, and this is the biggest if out there, if I were to write a book, it would have to be about them. And it would have to be about what they are saying and what's happening right now. More like a keeping a record of it than it would be something that would be for any kind of monetary gain. And you can't keep something like that and publish it and sell it to people. That's just like the sickest thing I've ever heard. It would have to be something that would be available to everyone everywhere. And
I'm glad that you said that because that's how I feel about people that come out and say, I'm in contact with these higher beings or aliens, super advanced extraterrestrials, and I'm their emissary and I have a message from them. Buy my book, buy my course. You know, because it would seem to me that if that information was real and so important to humanity, it should be for everyone and not.
now, hold on. It's a little difficult because of the way that society is already constructed. It's really difficult to operate outside of that and decide I'm going to dedicate my life to telling my story and sharing my experience and disclosure for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to make any money. We can't expect anybody to do that in this world. I mean, that's ridiculous. I'm just in a position where thankfully I can do that. And so I can take money out of it and say that's not an issue for me. I don't want it because I don't need it. I'm already supported. So I would rather take any kind of financial gain off the table and just say, hey, guys, I'm my purest of intentions is just to share with you what they're saying.
Yeah, and I truly appreciate that because that takes half of the skepticism I have away because then I know it's not money motivated. And too
Well,
many of
that
these people, it's been money motivated. You know, I don't want to
well,
get
that's
in. I don't want to
right.
mention anybody, but there are guys right now who claim that they're in contact with aliens, and you got to buy my course, you know, and then buy my comic book, my course, my DVD, my movie, and it's always on to the next buy this, and it just seems so commercialized that I give no credibility to that person. I don't think they're in contact with higher beings because higher beings would say you got enough money because this guy does. I know this guy's got enough money. He's made literally millions from selling stories that he talks about aliens. While we're on aliens, we got to get to the aliens because I got so many questions about the aliens, and I love aliens. I love talking
I
about
do
them.
too.
I noticed a particular thing that was strange, and that is people could take this as corroboration, or people could take this as maybe plagiarism, but I don't think so. You mentioned that you perceived the Greys to be non-biological, almost receptacles for consciousness. And I don't know if you're aware, but there's a book. It's called Alien Interview. It's by supposedly this woman named Matilda who interviewed the Roswell alien, and she said almost exact what you said about these Greys. That the
Well,
Grey that she interfaced with was non-biological, almost like a puppet or a doll, and was a receptacle for a light being of consciousness that went in there and worked it. Tell us more about your perception of these Greys and why you thought they were
read that.
non.
Read
I'm
that one.
sorry.
Read that one more time for me. What she said about
She
them.
said that they were non biological entities, almost like a puppet or a doll, that was a receptacle that housed a consciousness light being that worked the being.
Yeah. Okay. I would say that the only part about that that's any different about these bodies and what she described is that we consider this a biological organic body, and our understanding of what's organic and what is biology and what can hold consciousness is only limited to what we can understand in this cycle. Okay, plain and simple. And I'm saying that there's no difference between that having that being a non-biological entity holding a consciousness. than you and me.
Okay, and I also noticed that you mentioned tall white aliens, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but the first person that I'm aware of that talks about tall white aliens was Charles Hall, who's been largely discredited. A lot of his military background was fake. But there's some relation, I suppose, to Nordic aliens. They look similar in some depictions. Were the Nordics wearing clothing? You didn't mention. I don't believe that you talked about clothing and things like that.
Um,
The
let,
tall whites.
right. The but the drone, the little gray,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't really finish that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. The so there are what we would consider more biological uh, beings uh, that we would think kind of fit the gray um, physique, but then there are these drones, and um, the drone is, I mean, it has a consciousness in it, um, and so it's not like a computerized life form. It's not like AI or something like that. Okay, it's I don't know how it thinks, because we're like in these bodies, we're influenced. Our consciousness is influenced by our brain activity and our chemicals and blah blah blah. Right. So um, I don't know what it what influence there could be, or an influence that could be missing, or I don't know how it's different, but there has to be a difference there. I just don't know that we can conceptualize what it is.
Wow, and there's been a lot of questions about your military service, and people see. Again, I'm in a difficult position because although you've sent me a lot of stuff, you want me to not share all that stuff publicly, and people are very interested in your war veteran status as far as being a Gulf War veteran. And what I've seen is a Veterans Affairs card, which you can't get unless you're an actual veteran. So what I can say is you're a veteran, but people like the minutia and saying
Right.
that you're a Gulf War veteran versus a veteran. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I did send you my DD 214
Mm-hmm.
that says that I was serving in um, during the first Gulf War.
Okay, well should be sufficient for me. But I suppose my question is, you're
Was I
willing,
as
you're
like
willing to,
no, no.
but I suppose my question is, you're willing to release some of these documents to show hosts, right? Like Jimmy Church, I guess, and me.
Yes.
Why not make it easy on the research community that's so curious and just let it all out and anybody can see it? Because from what I've seen, it's legitimate, and I don't understand the reluctance, except maybe your own privacy. I don't
Yeah, there's
know.
a lot of information on there that could very easily be used to steal my identity. And I know who has access to that information, and or at least who I gave it to. Um, and I try to pick trustworthy people. Um,
Yeah, and my promise to my audience and to everybody is that I'm going to go point by point and check everything that she sent me.
sure.
But so far, I am on the side of this is all legitimate and this is all real. I still want to do some additional checking, but people are asking about these things, and I understand that because it's one thing for somebody to release something publicly, and it's another thing for them to say I gave it to him and he says it's okay. You
That's
know.
right. See, that's what Nick Larkin was doing. That was it. It's just that he was an Intel veteran that I felt that I could trust, and we talked a little bit, and after he actually took the first step and provided me as a gesture of goodwill his information, and to
Yeah, and
show
just
me
so people are aware, Nick is a person who on Twitter has said, no, I verified her background, her military, and her employment, and it's accurate.
right.
And I didn't know him well enough to not want to check myself. But
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that, that's okay. People in Intel and people who are veterans will typically um, believe Nick. You know what I'm saying? Because there, it's valor. It's just it's the ethics. We vouch for one another, and we have to stay honest about it. And he's in a position where um, he has a lot of honor in his life, I guess. And so he was the
Yeah,
perfect.
it seems like a credible guy that you should
That's right.
trust. I just didn't know him, and
Okay.
there's a few people that I do know, like that I do know their quality of work, and his I just wasn't aware of. So it's not a knock on him. I just
Yes.
when I don't know him, so I got to do this myself. And for those that don't know, it's grueling work to try to verify all this stuff because you're gonna be on the phone all day. People don't get back to you, and that's one of the problems that I have. And also, with her DIA experience, just to clarify, you were a direct employee of the United States government for the DIA, and then you were also a contractor for the
Yes.
DIA. So that
Yes.
complicates things because now you need twice as much verification, but it looks like those are good. And I see people in the live chat saying, this or that. But I think tonight is great because we have moved the ball forward on your story because now we know that your education is real. We know that your DIA experience is real and your military service is real. And I think more people are going to do checking and you'll get more verification of that. For now, I've seen the documents. I believe they're real. You're just going to have to wait it out because I'm sure more researchers will dive in and we'll find out more. But it's good that the ball is being moved forward and now we can talk more just about the experience. So you said how life changing this was, and you're dedicating your life to this. Some people are claiming that you're starting a cult, or you have this group, and we've explored the money end, and that's not the issue. Now people are maybe it's just attention and control or narcissism, whatever, and you're starting a cult. You've kind of been accused of that. How do you respond to people saying that a lot of the things that you're saying bear some similarity, I suppose, to Heaven's Gate or other sort of UFO cults that
I
have
would
sprung up?
I would say show me the similarities. I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't even spend time in my own community that I started on Transcension Project or on Reddit. I don't spend time there because of ridiculous claims like this that it's a cult, and just me going in and commenting or posting. Um, it attracts immediate negative attention where people will start downvoting and messaging the mods, and it's just not worth it. So I don't know of a cult that just says go out and explore your own consciousness and meditate or pray, do it however you want, and explore the nature of your own existence. And that's a cult. And do it on your own. It's like do it on your own, Stephen. Don't come to my house unless you want to. I mean, you're more than welcome. My door's always open to you.
I would come visit you anytime. So far.
Yes. Okay. But that doesn't make it a cult. That makes me a friend.
I've got a lot of people in the live chat who don't feel I'm asking you hard enough questions. So I'm trying to think of one, and
Okay.
one that I did think is that's probably a difficult question for you to answer, and I think we kind of touched on it, but not really. Is why you? Because your story, I see a lot of similarities in others that I've seen. And again, I apologize for comparing you to others, but
It's
this
okay.
has been my experience. So I've seen many different people come and they make claims like I'm in communication with these aliens and I'm going to bring humanity their message. But why you? Why not me? Why not some people in our live chat? Why not Wayne by himself? Why do they need you? If they're so advanced, couldn't they just get their message out on their own?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, what they continually tell me is that I agreed to do this.
Like a
Um,
soul contract concept I've heard you mention. Yeah.
I don't know what a soul contract is. I don't really talk about souls. I talk about consciousness expressing itself. Um, I'm not saying that souls aren't real. I'm just saying that I think that that's a loaded word, and I stay away from it. I don't really know what we're talking about when we say things like that, but I know what I mean when I say consciousness expressing. Um, so they said that my consciousness agreed to do this, that this is what I do, that I come near ends of cycles and deliver their message. That we've worked together many times. Do I know this? No. Again, no. Do I have proof? Can I give you proof? No, of course not. Does it feel familiar? There's something about it that seems really spot on, and and um, and all of this begins to happen very naturally at that point. It's like the more that it resonates with me, the more time that I have with them, just the easier it is to communicate on their behalf. And so I think that the first part is that this is what I do, and they say that everyone has their own job, their own thing that they need to be doing here, and they have to remember who they are. Every one of us, we all have to remember who we are, why we're here. And then a lot of those questions, people will stop spending so much time pointing at me and asking about me, and they'll start asking more about themselves. Because why are they talking to me? Well, they're talking to everyone. So listen up, folks. That's what I'm here to tell you. I'm not here to tell you that I'm special and I'm the only one. They're talking through me because I can hear them. We have this connection, and they want all of us to develop a conscious connection with one another that transcends language, that transcends races, um, that maybe even transcends species. I don't know. Consciousness can communicate with consciousness. And if we are truly moving into a higher density, which may come with changes in dimensions or access to different time or space, something's going to be different. I can't understand exactly what I'm saying, but we I can see that if everything like that comes to pass, then we're really going to need to be able to consciously communicate, because that's how they communicate. They don't speak through speech like we do. They have transcended the need to speak.
I've heard of that. A question too that I had, and this is important, is have you been in communication with Wayne during this 3 years that you were not after the experience? And also, you've had a lot of concern about his privacy and his anonymity, but how, this question is from Charlie Weiser, how does Wayne expect to remain anonymous or private after this proof that you're going to bring? Don't you think that this is going to be a media circus if it turns out that you're correct?
I think that I don't speak for Wayne or what he thinks, um, and I never will. He's a very kind and generous human being, and so is his wife, and I have a lot of respect for them and for their wishes. And at this time, if they can't see beyond um, disclosure, I'm not. It's not my place to make them, and it's not. It's frankly, it's not the public's place to make them either. The beings are saying that this is consciousness disclosure as much as it is going to be a physical disclosure. That we are simply right now unprepared for the kind of contact that everybody is demanding that I give them right now.
I see
But
people's impatience, so yeah, I understand people are very impatient. Have you been in contact with Wayne in the past 3 years? And he is aware of this expedition and what you're doing on the internet and all of this stuff, correct?
I have been in contact with Wayne more recently. Um, the time when I said that I had not been in contact with Wayne, that was correct. Um, and now it's changed. And yes, I have been in contact with him. And that's really all that I have to say about Wayne. I would just prefer not to discuss that too much. So,
Okay, well, let's get back to the aliens, and the alien experience. You've described this thing called conscious communication, which to me, and you're here, correct me if I'm wrong, appeared to be sort of a form of mental telepathy, but it also included the communication of emotions and memories and experiences. Can you talk more about how they communicated with you through this thing that you call conscious contact?
That's right. Okay. Yeah, you described it really well, actually. Um, so, okay, it's definitely more than telepathy because it isn't just reading minds, first of all. You're not reading another mind. You're in a flow with consciousness. Okay. So there is a already just in um, if you approach it as telepathy, you're kind of starting off on a foot that's just going to make it more difficult for you because this really is about expanding your consciousness rather than having a power to do something. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
so when when they communicate, it's like a picture that comes through. It's like an image, um, and it has, you know, I've explained it so many times, but it has like all of this encoded information in it. Okay, but it's an image, and you get the intention, the emotional state of the sender, and then any information that they're trying to communicate to you. And it's really it's much richer and more direct than our spoken language. We really uh, language divides us in a way that is that has hampered our conscious development as a race here, and they are trying to remove that barrier and get us into the consciousness experience itself out of this idea that language is, the primary way of communication, that there's actually a much a much more advanced communication ability. Right, it's just right there. It's like an atrophied muscle that everyone has the ability to do it. um, they're saying that it's just like like we've just been asleep for a really long time, and so we're waking up and we're kind of stretching. We're not jumping out of bed and going off to run a marathon after we've been in a coma for 20 years or whatever. So you have to get out of bed slowly, and so it's kind of like we're in like a consciousness rehab right now, and like everybody's waking up and starting to step out of bed and stretch a little bit, and that's what this is about.
Well, and so did you get a sense of why are they in a mountain on your friend's property? Because this and again with respect, I thought a lot about that, and if I was an alien race, I guess to remain hidden underground would be a good place. But that was also one of the reasons that I was skeptical of your story, because we have stuff in UFO mythology for years about aliens in an underground base in Antarctica or in Dulce base. Why would they put their base inside a mountain? Did you get any sense or
Uh,
ideas about that from them?
well, I don't know why they're in there. Um, they've been in there. What they say is that they've been there for a long time, like before the people were owning the mountain. They There's something about the area, um, and I don't really understand. I don't really understand what they're saying. I don't know if they're saying that it's a geological thing, like that's why they're there, or I don't really understand. But they're showing something about the geology, maybe a magnetic field field something that's different. It's just a little different there, and so that's why they're in that particular place. But they have, I think that we underestimate the amount of area that they may be inhabiting, quite frankly.
That's very interesting. Did you get a sense of how long they had been there in that? Or when did they build the base? Or how did they build the base?
this, while it is a physical, it inhabits physical space, okay, inside that mountain, but that when you move from the tunnel into the base, that you transition from one place to the other, the here, but the not here. It's like, and I don't know if that's, I don't want to say the wrong things. Like I said, magnetic field, and I'm probably, people go, oh, that's,
There's no magnetic fields there. Yeah, we checked. Yeah.
oh, I'm not a scientist. I'm just trying to explain that there's something different going on there, and and that they inhabit they have a physical presence that they can. I don't know why. They've been there for a very long time. That's what they're just saying. They've been there for a very long time.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough. Did you get any sense from being inside this base of what materials it was made of, or how it was constructed, or any of that kind of stuff?
I can say that there were very smooth edges. Like I just don't remember anything sharp and like sharp corners, and it was very smooth, very sterile, austere, I guess I would say. Um,
Yeah, I've heard you describe it clinical, right? It was like
yeah,
clinical, like a hospital plane, no
yeah.
creativity, which is odd. That struck me as odd. If they're super advanced beings, I would think they'd be very artistic or creative, maybe, right? But that's speculation, of course. I
Well,
mean, I don't
yes,
know.
yes. You know, I don't know if you've ever been inside of an operating room. Let's
Yes,
talk about that.
I had a brain aneurysm, so I've been in an operating room plenty. Yeah,
Okay, so you know that there's not a lot of artwork hanging up in an operating room
no, pretty
because it means
boring. Yeah,
just more area for dust to collect, and it becomes more difficult to keep it clean. Um, I'm There was a clinical sterility about the place that makes me feel like it may be, at least where I was, that I was inside of a medical part of it. It was very clean. There wasn't artistic expression. It didn't feel like that was the point. I didn't feel like I was in a museum or a coffee house there. I'm inside of, like, everything's smooth, and it was
like
maybe,
it was maybe molded, like injection molded. No corners, no
nope,
rivets, no joiners or fasteners.
that's right. I didn't see anything like that. In fact, moving from the rock of the tunnel into the base, I cannot see, like, I've tried and tried and tried, and I just can't see anything that looks like it may that like it's a physical transition, like you would expect, like a door, like a pocket door that's going to slide close behind me or something.
People have been very critical of that, saying she got that from Star Trek. But there's 100 examples. You described a door that slid open, sort of like Star Trek, and I think sometimes people nitpick things, and I do too. I do too. I caught that and went like, oh, like Star Trek.
Or
They have
like
Star Trek
you go
doors.
to a
Yeah.
grocery store and you step on, whatever you do, and the door opens. I mean, we have so many examples of automatic doors. I don't know why that would be the hang up. I mean, it seems like it seems a little silly, but
Did you get some sense of why multiple races of aliens would be cooperating in building a base? And and did you see any of their craft or get a sense of how they come here? How did they get here?
I didn't see any kind of craft. I don't remember any of their craft, like when I've seen them, like, since the day that I was there in their base, when they came to my house. Um, I don't remember. I remember other times of being at the base, but I don't remember like a craft or anything. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. Um, and it, but the the doors they were a different color, first of all, than the rest. Like the walls and the floors were all the same. They were like a creamy tannish smooth surface. I didn't touch it, so I can't tell you exactly what it was, but it was incredibly smooth. And then the door was like a metallic color. Um, the floor in the other room was more metallic, and it came the room that I stood up to, and the table that came up out of the floor, it came up. It was silver. It was silver, like the ground, the table coming up.
Well, that's very interesting. And I'm glad to get some more detail from you. Now, I do have a couple of questions. I realize, Anjali, and this is very important, I just want to recognize this. I applaud your courage for coming here and answering all these questions because people know I'm very skeptical, and there's other skeptical hosts that are sending me questions because they don't feel that you'll go on their show. So I wanted to be gracious and give an opportunity for questions from a few other show hosts. So I have one very good question from Scott Brown. And he says that you have mentioned the aliens visiting you at your home, and that you were in this alien base for 6 hours using your cell phone as a flashlight, but you didn't think to take any pictures. So why would you not take pictures in the alien base for 6 hours? And then if you are having these physical interactions with aliens at your home, why would you not take pictures and use that for evidence and proof?
First of all, when I didn't have my phone out for 6 hours using it as a flashlight, that was only while I was in the tunnel. I have no recollection of ever putting it back in my pocket, but that's where I found it. And I can't explain that to anyone. And that doesn't mean that I'm lying. It means that I can't explain that. I don't know. My sense is that they are in control of that I didn't have a choice. And how is that different for when we go back? Well, because they're saying that now is the time for disclosure, and so they will provide that evidence.
And what about those visiting your home? They won't let you take pictures of them or films or...
No. No.
But they're going to let you when you go back to the base.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, what they're saying is that... Hold on. That
you're talking to you're telling me that you're talking to aliens right now.
Well, look, I'm going to get a lot of crap for this.
No, it's okay. I just want to be clear because I'm.
Listen to me. They don't like. I've used it in the past, and I use it when just quoting conversation. But they say that aliens is a slur.
I saw that, so I apologize. What should I refer to them as? Higher beings?
Or beings,
or just beings.
Just whatever you're comfortable with. That's just people is fine too. They're different people than we are. But yes, so like I said,
yeah, is it true? I've heard people say so. They consider alien like a racist term.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of human connotation with it. It's sure. Our own. We created the term. We created a lot of imagery around it, and we use it. We have a very divisive stand regarding what that means when we start talking about nations and borders, and there's just not a situation where it has a positive connotation, and they just want all of us to use less of divisive language, less divisive thinking, and to think more collectively about how to treat each other, I guess.
Well, that's fair enough. And I had, again, from Scott Brown, and he's been very critical of you on Twitter, and so have many other people. So I appreciate that you're willing. Listen, some people just won't answer questions, or they'll do the thing where they block everybody out of existence, and then they live in an echo chamber, so nobody gets to ask questions. And one of the reasons that I have some respect for you, Anjali, is because you're sort of turning the corner and saying, I'll answer the questions, right? And that is a very brave thing to do. And it makes me believe that you're telling the truth about much of your story, and at least you believe that the experience was real. So Scott also asks, if they teleported Wayne back into his living room multiple times, why would he need to excavate a tunnel into the mountain? And if it's a secret base and they don't want anybody to know about it, why would they allow him to excavate a tunnel into the side of their base?
Well, clearly, they knew what they were doing because he did excavate a tunnel, and I went inside of it and walked into their base. So why did he do that? Because they clearly wanted him to. Are why didn't anyone find out about it? Because they didn't want anyone to find out about it. I don't think that we really understand what we're dealing with. I have to tell you that one of the things that they said that I still haven't, don't, I don't have a grip on it like I would like to is um, what you think is going on here isn't what's really going on, and that has stuck with me, and it's why everybody thinks that I'm so positive about everything. I have been told flat out that what we think is going on is not what is happening here, and that through this consciousness awakening that we have, we will begin to see what's really going on. And I don't, I'm along for the ride just like everybody else is here. I'm having, the same human experience everybody else is.
Well, it's slightly different because you're actually claiming to be in contact with the aliens in multiple ways, right? I mean, you're having this conscious contact sort of mind meld experiences, and pardon the term again, I know that might not be accurate, and then also you're physically interacting with alien beings visiting you.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
The
And I
last
haven't.
time,
Oh, I'm sorry. I had an excellent question again from another show host, Rich Giordano from GoofOn. And this made me think a long time today when I heard this question. So I wanted to make sure that I get it in. And again, he's one of those people that may never get to interview you. We want to be gracious and try to bring more people from the community to ask you these great questions. Rich brought up a great point. He said, many have promised, but no one has ever brought proof of aliens to the world. Does she really believe she will be able to do this, and how will she avoid the government shutting her down? And by shutting her down, I mean shutting her down forever, maybe killing her. Do you think you might be in danger, and do you think you're really going to be able to pull this off and bring us the proof?
I think that all I can do is trust what the beings are saying, that this is going to happen, and until I see movement otherwise. I know that the public is quite critical of how things have gone, but they've actually gone quite well. And I I think that it says something that I am here on your show, Stephen, that we're able to have this conversation. How many people are going to start wondering about the message that these beings are telling us, about them actually being there and what they're communicating to us? That sounds to me like a consciousness awakening. Um, and I'm kind of along for the ride with everybody else. So I have to trust that they're being honest with me, and back that up with me being honest with you and everyone else about what they're saying, and being honest about um, my own sense of vulnerability with this, because I have put my entire life on the line for what they're saying, and um, I I will see this through, and I really do hope that it's going to come out to the outcome that they've shown me, because I just I don't know what happens after that, otherwise. I know that other people have claimed that they've been, really misled. I just really hope that's not what's happening here. I don't feel like that's what's happening here.
Wow. And so I guess I'd also like to get into really, you talk about some things and the beings and their interest in our free will. And this one is from Charlie Weiser, who brought this to me, and I kind of agree with her. you talk a lot about the beings, and they have interest in our free will, and they're benevolent. They're here to help us. But then it seems that some other statements that you've made sort of contradict that. Like some aliens had a problem with the human race, but then changed their minds. Can you talk about that in more detail?
See, this is why Charlie is blocked. I mean, or has been, repeatedly, because there's just a lot of intellectual dishonesty. The people that I end up blocking on social media, it's not because they disagree. It's because when I answer them, they still call me a liar. It's like I give them the answer. They ask me a question, I answer it, and they say liar. I'm like, well, what, there's not much else I can do. I've just answered your question. Well, give us evidence. And it's like this circular thing that I just can't deal with. So you're going to have to repeat Charlie's question. I'm sorry. I got triggered.
No. Sure thing. You've talked a lot about the beings and their interest in our free will, but then it seems some other statements you've made contradict that. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of those situations where in the beginning, when I first started sharing my story in March, that I couldn't remember very much. And as the months have gone on and I've had more and more contact, I would say that I have a better understanding of what I experienced, and I have tried numerous times to correct that. So in the beginning, what I understood was, hurry up, the 4 are coming. They were here, they left. There were things that I got right about it. Okay. What I understand, my more full understanding of it, is this: that there are members of this council, and everyone has a role to play. And the 4 that left, it's like they came back because it is this is the time where they're on deck. Okay, like this is their stage of the game or of the cycle, and so they're here to facilitate their part, their role in what comes next. And I don't expect anyone to just blindly believe what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is what they're telling me, and I'm saying that they want to have open contact with humanity. And I'm saying that they're saying that we're coming to an end of a couple of different cycles, that one is a change of the earth, and the other is a cycle of incarnation and reincarnation that we've been doing here for a very long time. And that's just, it's like time is coming up, okay, is really what it is. It's like we're living in a temporal kind of existence that's been created for us to have this experience, and we're moving through that. And so it has a beginning and it has as an end in the cycle, not in a beginning and an end of consciousness. It's like, a beginning and an end of dinner. You're not born when you start your breakfast and you die at the end of it. You start breakfast and then you finish breakfast and you do something else, right? Well, that's what they're showing. They're not saying we're extinguishing consciousness. They're saying that we're moving through a cycle, that these 4 are coming to facilitate the choices that we are making right now. And they kind of have an audience. And I don't know why. I don't know if this is like their first time doing this, or if it's because these 2 cycles are coming, like there's so much that's happening at the same time, where we have the earth that's changing its consciousness density is like rising, and then humans are supposed to be making this consciousness change.
Take a breath. I'm sorry. We didn't give you a break or anything. I know this is difficult because this is a lot of deep stuff, Anjali, and I'm glad you're here to try to bring some more understanding and boy, nobody thought that this would happen, and I'm glad that it did, because now I'm more fully informed, and I feel like I know more. I'm a lot less skeptical and a little more willing to give you the benefit of the doubt when I wasn't before. And I'm getting beat up for that. People, people are some of my audience members are very skeptical, and they're like, but here's where we are at. We have I have run through some questions that I think were very, very important, but I wanted to see, we've got a little time left. We'll run out the clock here. If we could take some questions from the live chat participants now, but I'm gonna put a caveat. They have to be respectful questions, and you have to treat the guest with dignity and respect, or we're not going to take the questions. But so questions for Anjali, we'll put them in all caps in the live chat. And people are asking about the super chats. I didn't want to interrupt the interview every few minutes to thank and announce a super chat, so we'll be doing that after we conclude the interview. I'll let Anjali go, and I'll continue on, and we'll talk. But are you okay with taking some public questions? Because that's another brave thing to do, Anjali.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. But I just want to, before we do that, I want to finish what I was saying about.
Sure. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. There's only so much time, and I understand. But I feel like it's really important for us to get this. It's been very difficult for me to determine how to address this. Do I go back into that initial post as soon as I go in and I make a huge edit regarding the four? That becomes a point of ridicule and scrutiny. And so I've decided to keep it there, but I don't really know that it's the smartest thing. So the reason that they were saying that we had to hurry, it wasn't because the four were coming to destroy humanity. I wasn't understanding everything. One thing was that they were trying to say is that there are some big earth changes coming. There's this end of this cycle coming. Just what I've already been explaining all night. Okay, that those things I was like tying them to the four coming. I didn't understand what they were saying to me at the time. I couldn't quite recall it. So it's so I thought that they were coming in some kind of vengeful way, but it's the urgency is that our conscious awareness as a race right now in this world as an experiment is really just not going very well. The veil is very heavy, and the illusion is very, very convincing, and so typically at this point they're saying that there would be more people who are awake. Like, we should have more conscious awakeness than we have, and that's the urgency, because this all matters, like something way down the road that it could be thousands of years. I don't even understand, okay, because again, it's outside of our concept of time, but like it matters in the end how many of us are ready right now to transcend. And I don't understand why that matters, but it does. And so that's why they were like, hurry up, like, you've got to remember what you're doing here, because you have a job to do.
Your mission. Yeah.
Hurry up. They're coming. We're getting to the end of the cycle. So I hope this helps. It's the best I can do. It is my honest to goodness answer. There's nothing else that I can say about it. I can't be any clearer.
Great.
They have jobs, and that's why they're here.
We'll go to viewer questions first from, there's just a few in the super chats. This is a fun question, so we're getting pretty heavy here, so this I think will help. Ellen Fox asks, because Anjali is connected to these beings, can you ask her if the beings can confirm if Elon Musk is a part of disclosure? Thank you. A lot of people theorize he is. Did the aliens tell you anything about Elon Musk being part of disclosure, Anjali?
What my understanding has been is that he has contact. He has conscious contact.
Wow.
That he's had contact. Don't get too excited. There's a pretty good chance still has Bezos, and look at the two of them. Right? You can't say, wow, it's so enlightening. Again, we all make our choices, and we can choose to try to do what's going to be the best for everyone, or choose to just really buy into this illusion of what we've created here and all the things that we think are so important that keep us so separated. And boy, are we going to be surprised when the when we find out that we're not alone, and that there are actually so many other beings that are sharing this space with us, that we can't even see. Uh,
I hope so, because that would be a cooler world to live in than the one we
it's
actually live in.
absolutely.
Another question, which is a great question from Lisa Bowden, asks, "Do you think they mean us any harm?"
I can say that the beings that I have met mean us no harm. I'm not saying that there aren't beings that exist out there that don't mean us harm. I could probably name you a bunch of humans out there that mean a lot of people harm. Um, I, I, I just don't know. I just don't know. I think that um, they say that we have to be mindful of our thoughts and our intentions. That those manifest into actions. They materialize in our physical world. That they explain like that there's two kinds of energy. One is like the light that is consciousness, and then the other is like energy that manifests as matter, like that, and that's what we do here. And so that when we're all collectively trying to think about the betterment of the planet and the betterment of humanity, then we're raising that and we're manifesting, something that is that's positive um, and fertile, I guess I would say. That can be that we can grow from, rather than
Sure.
uh, when we all operate from a place of, I am the most important, my needs come before everyone else's needs, and I will cooperate with you, Stephen, as long as us cooperating together, we can be on a team together, but as long as my needs are still like what I want. There's a
Yeah.
different kind of thinking there, and so we have to be really careful about how we think about contact, um, and how we think about consciousness and um, and attracting energy to us. So for those people who meditate, they they will put out positive intentions. When people pray, they're putting out positive intentions. So they're saying that when you operate in that mindset, um, that you're like awakening your consciousness.
Well, Eric Stitt, who you may know, he does some incredible alien artwork. His name is Eric Stitt, has an incredible question. And it's kind of deep. This one's kind of deep. And he asks, how can we take your subjective experience, which purportedly is real to you, and turn it into a repeatable and testable objective evidence for the rest of this? I ask this in earnest.
Yes, I would suggest, and I mean this, that I get no monetary gain whatsoever. I would go over to Reddit and go to the Transcension project and join that community. The people there are all asking the same questions. And we have people who have been lifelong meditators to people who are just, new to the idea that there could be something beyond our consciousness than this one experience. I mean, it runs the gamut. But what's really neat about it is that it's becoming like it's a community of resources and support. And they have a lot more time and energy to work directly with people, individually. Um, I, if you want, to know what is the very first step um, to awakening, I would say that it is to show some serious humility about what the nature of our understanding is of where we came from, who we are, and why we're here. and to really seek to understand that instead of thinking that you already have it answered. Say, I don't know, and I really want to know. I really, truly, and you commit to that, and you commit to it in a positive way, without fear and without ill intention. You know, just good humans try
Sure.
to.
And a question about the aliens from Zofa says, I'd love to see if she could go into more detail on the description of the mantid's head, its mouth, and texture in particular.
Um, I was actually, when you said Eric Stitt is a really good artist. I'm an artist, but I'm not a portrait artist, and this has been a real issue for me. How to get these drawn. I really would love to be able to work with someone who could, really re, um, what do you call it when it has that kind of art, like police sketches do it. What do you call that, Stephen? And
Like a composite?
yes, there you
Yeah,
go.
because then you could draw composites of these aliens, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and I'd love to work with someone who could try to.
Reach out to him. He's the best. If I could afford him, I'd hire him. I think he's the best
I
artist that
don't have
does
any money.
aliens and spaceships anywhere on Earth. He is amazing. He's really amazing. And now I apologize. I just want to apologize to the super chat people because my chat will only let me go so far back, so I couldn't share on the screen. But I wanted to make sure I asked your questions, and this one is a great question, and something that was on my list of alternate questions to ask you. Anjali, what do your beings think of DeLong, Elizondo, and the current disclosure narrative? Are they in contact? That's a great question.
The beings don't have like when they said, "What do you think?" What do they think of them? Um, they are very compassionate and supportive of all of us. So, have they reached out to those people? Yes, but they're saying that they are reaching out to all of us. Are these gentlemen being motivated? Is the current narrative being motivated by their contact? Possibly. Um, I can't say for sure. I've never met any of them, but they seem like very lovely gentlemen, and
Yeah,
that's
somebody asked Elizondo recently if he knew you or heard of you, and he just gave a quick recounting of part of your story and then said, I never met her.
right.
So, because people were speculating since you both worked in intelligence, this is an excellent question from C.W. Channer, who really is a student of spirituality in all things. He has looked very deeply at many different religions and traditions, and he has his own religion called Commonwealth Chanting. He asks, how does this cycle talk relate to the ancient Indian concept of the Yugas? Are you familiar with that?
I couldn't really, I couldn't really tell you. Yeah, I'm not versed on the ancient Indian concept of the yugas. It sounds like it's related to a cycle of talk. I don't know. What I can tell you is this: is that they're saying that a lot of their ancient tech. Let me rephrase that: the ancient texts that we have, um, that that they have inspired a lot of the prophecy, a lot of the explanations. They have inspired those books, and that those stories have been contaminated by us essentially. That we have created, like, we have this need to deify, because we feel lost if we don't. Um, and we feel lost because we have been thinking of ourselves as individuals, that we have confused our body and our sensory experience with who we are. And so we have felt very separate, um, and not so much so that deification is how we deal with it. And so they're saying that not only are the stories always told through the lens of the culture and society at the time, and their knowledge, but that it's also been like contaminated by deification.
I've heard that. I've heard that
And
before
so
somewhere.
take that
Yeah.
for what it's worth.
Okay, and Erica Lukes is here from UFO Classified, and again, she's the person who I shared some of this information about Wayne with. But we've talked, and she's not going to spill the beans, and neither am I. So, out of she asked, and I do agree that your explanation of what you did for the intelligence community was somewhat vague, and I'm not sure if that's could be because of NDAs or other things. But Erica asks, what specifically was your role working with Intel or the intelligence community, I think she means, or DIA.
Yeah, I had many, I did a lot of different things. Human factors intelligence, which is essentially um, doing research on state and non-state leaders, just so that we have a better understanding of how to influence their decision making to, um, to be more congruent with U.S. interests. Okay, um, and so my everything that I did, my my charter was all, um, non domestic, total
So dealing with foreign countries and
totally
intelligence.
foreign. And so everything that I did was just in support of the really the war on terror is what it all comes down to. If we if we have to simplify it to a sentence, it's in support of
People
the war on terror.
people are a little upset because I we asked the question about the mantis and its anatomy, and we
Yes,
kind of
I'm sorry, I forgot.
got sidetracked. So maybe we could get back to that. And the question was, uh, let me get it back. 1 second. Uh, It was from Zofa and says, I'd love it if she could go into detail of the description of the mantid's head, its mouth, and texture in particular.
Um, as far as texture, my recollection is that it's pretty smooth. The head is um, rather, bulbous in the back. There's no hair on the body. Very spindly body, beautiful, very thin and lanky, but with specific shoulders. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
are as different as their bodies are, there are all of these very universal things. There's eyes, um, and the eyes were larger and set off to the side a little bit more than ours. Um, the the face came down into more of a point, but it was quite bulbous in the back, and very small mouth. It just I don't know how to explain something like this.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to explain because from most descriptions I've heard of mantis, it's like a 6 foot tall praying mantis insect standing right in front of you, and that's kind of crazy to think about.
It you know, more for this one, more like pushing 8 feet is what my best recollection is that quite well. Um, the skin was definitely a lavender, a purple, light lavendery color. Um, everything, I want to just reiterate that I wasn't seeing geometrics and paisleys and tracers with my hands or any of the things that people claim that they see. And I also wasn't in a fetal position, having just vomited from being dosed with some kind of DMT or ayahuasca, unbeknownst to me. Um, Everyone that I've ever heard who's been on those experiences, it's something that happens, pretty quickly. The whole thing is up and over. And they're not up walking around and doing things for hours. So um, I can't I can't really tell you exactly. I don't know how to explain how they looked. I don't remember the hands. That's been a question. Um, I don't remember. I wish I did. Um, I can tell you that I was in such awe when I saw them that it was like I it was maybe the most magnificent moment, even more so than, turning that corner and seeing, oh my gosh, it's real. They're actually really standing there to, I thought that was, mind blowing enough, but to find out that the being that I had been talking to that I thought was about 4 foot tall was actually more like 8 foot tall was pretty darn mind blowing.
Great. And we have another question, and again from Go Kicks Rocks, big UFO Twitter person. And she asks, Wayne excavated the tunnel but didn't see the base until he took her. How is that possible? Maybe you can clarify, because I don't think she's, yeah.
I'd never say that. I'd never said that he couldn't see the base. I said he's never been, that to his recollection, he has never been in the base. That's what I had said. And that when he stepped into it, we were immediately moved back to his home under that place where he said he would be. So no, he didn't. He didn't say that he had never seen the base. In fact, what he said was, "I found their base, and I want to take you to see them."
Interesting. And can you describe? This is another question that was on my alternate list here. What was the experience of this teleport like? What did you feel, see, or experience?
Nothing. I saw, felt, experienced absolutely nothing. What? Okay, I'm standing there, and I'm the smaller gray is here beside me. The tall whites are right here, and I'm convinced that there's security. I really am convinced of that there's some kind of security. They all dress the same, and they were completely silent. They didn't speak to me. They didn't interact with me. From the human, my human understanding of that kind of behavior makes me think, oh, it's like a security detail. So anyway, so I'm standing there. We have just, walked down the hall. It's very quiet. Nobody's talking because everything is happening, consciously. So the only sound that was there was the sound of our own movement. And as soon as Wayne stepped into the base, it was like I blinked, and when I opened my eyes, we were standing beneath this arch in his home. And it was literally like a split second is how it felt. Just there's I have no conscious memory of anything, no strange sensations.
So it was over in an instant before you even realized what was happening, right?
It was so discombobulating. If you can imagine, like right now, if you blinked and suddenly you're somewhere completely different. The very first thing I did was I put my hands on my head and I screamed, "What the F is going on?"
Yeah, I remember that part of your story, which is something that I would probably do as well.
Oh my God.
I want to get to, I really got to get to, what are your plans? Is this timeline that you've discussed still okay? Do you have more team members? And how, is that on track? Are you still set to deliver this proof and evidence? And what forms do you think that will take? Are you going to bring us back pictures of the aliens? Is everybody going to take a selfie? And I know this is a stupid question, but are these scientists going to go take selfies with the aliens? Are they going to have similar experience that you had when you go visit the base? And is the timeline still right? What forms of evidence do you think you're going to bring forward to prove this by the end of the year, as you've promised?
My understanding from them is that everything is still right on track. What kind of evidence? My gosh, well, we have so many different kinds of equipment that I'm not, a scientist, so it's really hard for me to describe the different kinds of equipment that we will have. That it will have, obviously we'll have audio, video. I don't know about live streaming, only because I just don't know. I just don't know how to make it happen. Okay, I'm not saying that it can't happen. It's just that I don't know how to make it happen.
I can come and do that for you right from my phone, and I'll make sure that I have a phone that will work in that area. I'm just putting it out there, just letting you know.
If you don't have reception, Stephen, what do you do? How do you
Yeah,
stream?
yeah. I'd have to check in advance that I'd have a phone with a carrier that would cover that area.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say, darling, is that
Or put a Wi-Fi booster up from Wayne's house, and then I could use his Wi-Fi if he has internet.
okay. So anyway, I'm sorry. Remind me what the question was again.
What are you on track with this promise of delivering this evidence by the end of the year? And what forms do you think, are we going to get pictures, videos? Are we going to get, like, I would think that there should be some kind of cultural exchange. Like, for example, if we met aliens, we might show them our history books or our Bible or things like that. Or
that. They don't need us to show them anything. This is all part of the illusion. They don't need us to show them anything.
well, will they be giving us some kind of scientific knowledge or anything, any goodies? People always want the secret to anti-gravity, the secret to interstellar travel. Are they going to give us any of that?
My understanding is that they are going to help to facilitate our like us getting through this next cycle. I think that there are things happening that we're going to need their help with, and it sounds like that's why they're here. And so, what does that look like? I don't know, because that's above my grade level. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Or they haven't communicated to you what they're going to give us or share adequately, do you think?
It's not. I think that we're misunderstanding. They're not here to like share technology. They're here to help us because we're facing some difficult times, and I don't know what that assistance looks like. They do
Right.
not show me that, but it's not a matter of like specific technology. I just don't know. I don't know what it is.
Okay, and again, a question with respect.
Sure.
You've discussed health problems, and your friend Wayne had some health problems, and you discussed that they were trying to heal you or something like that. And I guess my question is, if these super advanced beings want the best for us and they want to help us, and they're able to go from other star systems to here on Earth and have all of this advanced technology, did they try to heal you and Wayne, and were just not successful, or were they unwilling to? Maybe some rule that they can't intervene in that way, or a lot of
Right.
people have asked about this.
Right. Okay. So I do not know with respect to Wayne and his health and what that relationship has been like. Um, I can tell you that they took me out of my body. They took my consciousness out of this body, and I was in a light that was like mist. I don't know if you experienced this, Stephen, but it was like literally if you could imagine the faintest mist, but it's all just little itty bitty pieces of light. Um,
I
and
may have seen something like that tripping. With respect, like I was a rock guy. I did everything, every party favor there was.
that's okay. Well, this was like as I was laying supine, on my back. The light it was like a triangular light that it wasn't like it was dispersed everywhere. It was very controlled and within a specific area where I was inside of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And um, they used it to look at what was going on with me. I don't know what all they did with it. they did tell me about a couple of medications that they wanted me to get off of, because they thought that, or because it was causing seizures, and it was, and they were lowering my threshold. We found out that a couple of them together lowered my threshold too much, so that I was having, more absent seizures, which was making my short-term memory more difficult. And so, so they pointed that out, and I did actually later get off of both of those. And they said that there was something that was wrong with my genetics, like it was like my DNA. There was a DNA issue, and that they couldn't really fix that. That they could help me, with my energy, but that they couldn't fix the genetic problem with this body. And so, I mean, I just accept that.
Okay.
So, but now, okay, so they're not here to, my understanding is that they're saying that part of the third density experience is that they don't interfere, that they're here to facilitate the cycle that we choose to be in, and to prevent us from basically destroying it and destroying ourselves in the process, while allowing us to experience and learn what we're wanting to do. And so that's where free will really comes in, is they don't interfere. They try to guide us, but they don't interfere unless we're at a point where it could be extinction level for, the planet or the people and that inhabit it. And so, they just want to help prevent some of the mistakes that we've made and help us fix it, I think. So
this is an excellent question from V, and that is, I've seen people like Dr. Stephen Greer say all aliens are benevolent, which I think is a very dangerous generalization to make. And you're saying that they're here to help us and they're benevolent. So what about, V's right, there's a lot of stories about abductions, about the Greys and Mantids using humans in reproductive experiments or things like that. Did you get any sense from them? And people are also asking, how are you so sure that they're not deceiving you and they're going to, conquer Earth or something?
Well, I think that, first of all, if they wanted to conquer Earth, they could just do it. They certainly wouldn't need to play games with me. It seems to me like they're really trying to be pretty gentle with us. They're really using kind of the soft gloves. The experience is incredibly overwhelming, and they just want us to be consciously prepared for that contact. Now, as far as Greys and Mantids using humans in reproductive experiments, that was the question, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know who those beings are.
So those are different from the beings, if they exist, that you experienced.
Absolutely. I didn't experience anything like that. And I'm not saying that anyone else didn't, that's not what they experienced. I believe them. I just don't know who or why, to what end. I don't know. I'm sorry. And they just say that there's a polarity in everything, in this cycle where, we're in this cycle of polarity, and balance, and we're imbalanced. That our polarity is very imbalanced right now.
Well, we've gone a little bit over time, but I have one final question for you that I think is important and may shed some light on your experience and these beings. And that is, did you get a sense of where are they from? Are they from an alien star system in another solar system? Are they interdimensional beings? Are they from another universe? Are they time travelers? Or are they all the above? Which is a strange but crazy thing to think about, and a possibility.
my understanding is that our our okay, I'm sorry, hold on just a moment. Um, that they're at a level of development that they have they have they've transcended
There's
those.
that word again.
I know, I know. They've transcended the things that limit us and our current understanding, um, and that there are places that are physical locations where, uh, for lack of a better way of putting it, the veil is thinner, or like doors can open, or like it's almost like if you can imagine it like almost like a spider web. Okay, just imagine like you're walking. This is funny. Okay, please just bear with me, and this helps. Maybe this me describing what they're showing me in my process for trying to translate it. They showed what looks almost like a spider web between two trees, but it's not an actual web. Like it's not, we can't like physically feel it, but we walk through it, and that when we go through it, like on the other side, it's different. It may look like nothing has changed, but it's actually here but not here. It's like another place. And so it's like there are like geological and physical locations that allow movement from one place to another quite quickly, and that's an ability that they have. So they're at this point they're not from anywhere any more than I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. I don't consider myself from Jacksonville anymore. I've been around long enough now and lived many different places and done many things. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so they're showing me like
Yeah.
that like we're not from anywhere anymore.
Okay, and I'm sorry, but I did have one other question that I skipped, so I'm going to ask it. A lot of people are asking, and these are the people that want more proof and evidence. If we
Or
could get an interview of Wayne sharing his experience, and wouldn't that go a long way towards proving your story? If he would at least do like an audio interview with me or somebody else recounting his experience and backing up the experience that you shared together.
right. And they want me to say that I'm not trying to prove anything. That this is a soft disclosure that they are doing, um, and that we are to. I know this is very dissatisfying, and I understand that, and I hear you, even Stephen. I can hear you. I get it.
Yeah, it's a little
Like,
disappointing. Yeah,
I
it's a little
know, right?
disappointing.
But that's what they're saying, that this is a soft disclosure, and that you have to prepare your minds, prepare your hearts and minds, prepare yourself consciously for contact. Stop asking for them to just come out and walk out of the base and say, hey, here we are, because we're not ready for it right now. They're saying, get yourselves ready. Get yourself ready. Um, and I'm sorry, I'm seeing the links pop up too. So,
Yeah.
um,
Somebody's just mentioning the links to your conference, your documentary trailer, and Jimmy Church appearance. If people want, will be in the video description. And after the show, I'll add your whatever links you want me to add, Reddit links to the
sure.
Transcend
Okay, so
project or any of that.
I don't have a documentary. I have made that very clear. I do not have a documentary. I did not hire anyone to
Well, there's
come.
a trailer though.
Yeah, well, that's not mine. That has nothing to do with me. And you can
Oh,
ask.
so
You can ask.
somebody just did that independently?
Yes, he did that independently, and that's okay because he's actually he's trying to do. Tyler does great work. He does great work. I am not. There's no contract between us, and I'm not affiliated with this project. He's trying to do a disclosure project for everyone, and he's trying to do it like a legit documentary. I was not happy with the naming it Anjali, and I told him that I felt like he had misrepresented to me what he had initially, decided that, or told me that his intentions were. And he backed that up, or he backed off and said, I'm going to try to do something more widespread. But
Well, that's fair. I guess that's fair. Yeah.
I have not had a single, um, haven't signed any contracts. I'm not making any money. Um, these are people who are out there doing their work for this disclosure. They have their own mission, and if there's something that I can do to facilitate that, like Stephen, I'm here with you because you're just trying to understand better what's going on. I'm just trying to understand better.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm glad that we did tonight because I know so much more about this situation and what may happen next. And another question somebody asked, George Knapp has had some involvement with you. And George Knapp, I believe, is claiming that he's emailing you and not getting a response. I guess asking if he's coming along or something like that. I don't know if you want to address that here.
I guess I didn't realize that was happening. I know that George and I have not really had a lot of contact, and so I that's all it is I'm just one person with hundreds and hundreds of people every day trying to reach out. And honestly, I'm chronically ill and very tired a lot. I just haven't gotten to it.
And he just had a 2-hour grilling, so I have some respect for you. And finally, I really hope this is the last question. I hate to keep doing this, but I could keep you here talking for another 3 hours. Why did Anjali deflect about her psychedelic escapades when she used to laugh about it on Reddit? Charlie Weiser has proof on her website. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what the point is. I don't really understand. I've already said that I was not using psychedelics. I've already said that I was not an experienced psychedelic user, even when I made that comment on Reddit. And if you look at the comment where I was encouraging people to meditate, I was actually engaging with someone who was saying that you can have a complete spiritual awakening with psychedelics, and I was trying to argue with them that that psychedelics is it's a temporary state of mind, and that really you have to it's a daily practice, and you want to get meditation as a practice, mindfulness. I mean, it's all out there, guys, and they just weren't taking it. And so that's when I completely overstated my experience and said that I had a deeper experience with psychedelics than I had, only so that I could say, look, I already know, I've been there. I've been exactly where you are, and I'm telling you, it has to be a daily mindful practice. So my heart was in the right place. Did I do it properly? I don't know. You'd have to ask that person. Maybe they started meditating. I have no idea. But I'm not going to keep apologizing for it. I've already explained it.
I think that's adequate. Yeah.
This is why it gets so frustrating and why I end up blocking people, because when I explain it, they don't believe the explanation, and they don't have to. But to continue to say that's not true is just, it's not fair. I'm doing the best I can. So, so that's, that's.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm glad that I got a chance to talk to you face to face, or such as it is, and you have become more humanized to me.
Yeah.
Not a distant person, new UFO celebrity, which is what I would call you previously. So I think the best place to end this is a final thought that I had, because I'm concerned for you.
Okay.
Having talked to you and interacted with you, and honestly, looking into your education and your background, I've got a lot more respect than I did when I was so dismissive and just said, this story's fake, these people are fake, we know that's not true now, and I was totally wrong. And I have concern for you. And the one concern that I have for you, I know how you would handle this if you do this expedition and you come out with absolute proof that aliens are real and visiting us, because that would be life-altering, world-changing thing. And you'd go down in history forever. But I'm concerned, and I want to ask you, are you prepared for this whole thing falling apart? Like, what if you go there, the aliens left, the cave caved in, there's nothing there, and you come up zero, and you can't provide any proof or any evidence? How are you going to handle that if that happens?
I'm just going to have to handle it like everything else. I mean, what do I do? You know, at that point, I, I am putting my full self out there for everyone, and I'm trusting the experience that I had and the communication that I have had with these beings, um, and how I'm trusting this process. Is there a possibility that we could get there and it's, you know, something goes terribly awry, um, and I'm not able to bring back that evidence? I suppose. I mean, anything's possible, right? So, um,
My concern is that you know this is could be very humiliating for you if it doesn't go the
oh,
way that you hope. You
oh,
know,
you know, I don't think that I can be humiliated out of this because, you know, personally, I feel like I'm being super 100% above the board. Um, and I'm not afraid to answer any questions and to submit to
yeah. Well,
any.
we've seen that tonight, and I hope that helps with some of your critics. You
And
know,
it's okay. I mean, if it doesn't, but you know, how will I respond? I hope really well. I hope that um, I will take it like I've taken everything else in my life, which is, um,
and just so you know, it's not just you that would be disappointed.
oh, I
It would
know.
be everybody that's watching and hoping that you, unlike a lot of people who have come forth and promised proof, actually deliver it. The fact that you set a hard deadline, you know, now people are saying that you're going to kick the can or you're not going to keep the timeline. You know, I'm not sure about that, but at least you've got a date that you said, I'll bring the evidence by this date. It's,
Yes,
so
because
we're
there's
all waiting
yes,
with,
that's right.
can't
Because
wait to see what happens. That's how I feel about this right now.
you and me both, you and me both. So you know, I I feel like it's going to go the way that they're saying. Um, if it doesn't, you know, I guess it'll just be another day. Just like we'll just have to try to figure out what the hell happened. Um, and I don't know what that looks like. It's certainly not what I want, clearly. Um, and it would be a very difficult time, not just for me and my life, but for a lot of people, because they're having, you know, everybody just has a sense of, I don't know, times are very difficult for people. And the best thing that we can always do with every moment of every day is to decide what we can learn from what we're experiencing. And I guess that's would be the only healthy way, besides probably checking myself into a hospital.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about
You
because
know,
you
I
know it
mean,
would be a huge blow after this huge buildup to just be a big letdown, you know,
I
and that's my
honestly,
concern for you.
yeah, like what I would, if something like that were to happen, I would probably um, find find
Some
a
kind of support, right?
a
Yeah,
retreat somewhere with some shaman or some wise spiritual leader who could help me get my head back on straight from such just a terrible disappointment, and not just a disappointment, but a shatter of my ability to trust my own experience.
sure, sure. Well, I want to thank you so much, and I'm really glad that we got this opportunity because I've gone from being completely dismissive of you to saying, being able to say, the mountain is real, the friends that she discussed are real, her education is real, her employment background is real, and her military service is real. Now, I'm still going to do additional checking on them and report back, but I'm confident, having looked everything over, that I can say that now, and I couldn't before. And I apologize again for being too dismissive because we've seen too many people that their educations aren't real, their backgrounds aren't real, they're making up fake jobs they never had, and I lumped you in with that.
Well, do they do that? I mean, what are they? I mean,
Money.
how?
They're after money. I mean, there's so many different people. There was a time when there was fake Navy SEALs all over, and they were saying they were battling aliens on Mars and different things, and then it turns out they weren't a Navy SEAL. They might have been a criminal, so they're just making up a story, and they run and go get the UFO dollars before they get found out. And I waited to start vetting your background because I thought somebody's going to blow this out of the water, and I won't have to deal. I won't have to do it. So
I understand. Really, honestly, Stephen, it's okay. Skepticism and like
there's a place for all of us. You've got to have the skeptical guy to ask the hard questions. Otherwise, people just talk and we don't learn as much. So I hope that you're okay with what happened tonight. I promised you that I would be respectful, and I hope that I was. And
anytime.
And this was difficult for me because, people are going to love or hate what we did tonight. But I think that it moves the ball forward, and we know more about your story, your background, and everything. So I want to thank you for having the courage to do it when a lot of people said you never would. Here we are.
Thank you. That's right. And I'll come back again if I need to. And listen, good luck. Hopefully your listeners and your supporters will go easy on you.
Well, yeah, there's always critics. I did the best I could. I asked as many questions as I could. We covered a lot of ground. I'm satisfied with what happened tonight, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. We got mostly positive feedback, but of course, from your internet interactions, some people, they're never going to be happy no matter what you say, do. You That's just right. Do the best thing that you could, and I'm new at this and doing the best I can. So
every day. That's right.
Well, I want to thank you once again. I'm going to throw you out of here. You can just close down your browser, and then I'm going to just have a talk with the live chat for a while. I don't want to keep you for too much longer.
Thank you for having me, and thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. I hope you will come back.
Absolutely. Okay.
Especially if you find those aliens. I want the exclusive interview once you find those aliens. I want to be the first guy to interview you once the proof comes out.
We'll talk.
All right. Great. Thank you. Good night, Anjali. All right, friends. There we go. There we have it. What an amazing evening it has been. I apologize to anybody that thinks I didn't ask hard enough questions, but we wanted to be respectful here. We wanted to be just as we promised. A lot of people on Twitter were telling her, don't go on his show. He's going to be nasty. He's going to humiliate you. He's going to make fun of you. And that wasn't what tonight was about. So here, we're going to read the Super Chat donations, and I apologize for skipping them, but I really thought it best if we not interrupt the interview every few minutes. I did go through and read the Super Chat questions first. So we're just going to read out the Super Chats tonight because most of them have passed. So we have welcome to the show, kind and generous Great Britain pounds, 99 cents with a super sticker. A unicorn. And here tonight, I feel like we had a unicorn because we actually have somebody telling stories about aliens whose education is not fake, whose military service is not fake, whose claimed credentials are not fake, whose employment history is not fake. That's kind of like a unicorn in this ufology thing to me. So I give her a lot of credit that at least her background is real. She's not making that up. FGraph72. With a kind and generous US $2 super chat says, magic, poof, light this, puff, puff, and pass this. Great. Zofa with a question that we asked about describing the mantids. Kind and generous $5 Great Britain pounds. Thank you very much. Eric Stitt with a question that we did ask Anjali with a kind and generous $10 super chat donation. Ian Burrell with a kind and generous $3 super chat donation. Ellen Fox with a question that we did ask Anjali about Elon Musk. That was a fun question. Kind and generous $4.99 super chat. Then we have Lisa Bowden with a kind and generous $10 super chat with a question we asked, do the aliens mean us any harm? And we have Jim Morris with a kind and generous $20 super chat donation. I want to thank all of you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Joe with the late one here. Kind and generous $5 super chat. Good job tonight. Come to Denver for a good time. I will take that as a invitation. If I'm ever in Denver, Joe, I'm looking up you, Alien Joe. We can have some drinks. And that girl, Jessica says, I got a hello from the aliens. And people are like, you're not going to say anything? I don't know what to say. She said the aliens said hello to me. I don't know how they do that, but apparently the aliens said hello. I said it again. You're right. The beings. I'm sorry. It's kind of weird. They don't like being called aliens. They want to be called beings, but I will respect her wishes and say aliens. And yes, praise the cash friend. And so we want to thank all the kind and generous Super Chat donators for their kindness, for their generosity, and their support. We are a viewer-supported show, and every dollar goes into us producing more quality content just for you. I want to remind my listeners, if you are listening to this in audio podcast land, you're missing half the fun, which is all this live chat interaction. You can ask the guest questions too. Go over to YouTube, search Truthseekers, look for the strange guy with the sunglasses, and click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You'll know about our next live chat, and you too can come and ask me questions, the guest questions, and interact with this incredible live chat. I want to remind everybody to follow me at Stephen Cambian on Twitter. That's really the best place to know about upcoming shows, news about shows, and things like that. I want to thank my fellow show hosts who sent me questions. I want to thank, people who have helped me with this research. It's really not me who found Wayne and the mountain and found out that it was true. It is really a team, right? It is a team of people. We've had James A. Conrad contributing. We've had Charlie Weiser commenting and contributing research and proof and evidence. And imagine that. Now, Ed is asking if the mountain is in USA or Mexico. And is that? Yeah, that is a super chat. So thank you for the kind and generous super chat. It is in the United States. She stated that it is in the Mojave Desert. And so I feel confident in saying it's okay for me to spill the beans on that. The mountain is in the United States in the Mojave Desert. But back to praising the cash. I want to thank you all for your kindness, your generosity, and support, and for helping us keep the show going by helping us praise the cash, friends. Praise the cash. Thank you, Ed.
You're watching Truthseekers. Praise the cash, praise the cash. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
So thank you all for your kindness, your generosity, and support. We've got one more bit of business just to look into because there's 3 ways that you could support our show financially. You could join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You can send a PayPal donation, and the links to do that are in the description. So we have a kind and generous PayPal donation of, let me look at that. I'm sorry. Bear with me, friends. A $5 in support of Truthseekers show. And that is from the initials MA. I want to thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and support, and encourage you too can sign up on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, we have a backstage view. We show people sort of backstage what's happening at the show. You get a backstage pass for as little as $1 a month, extra content that we don't make public, and also a monthly journal. I put my music projects on there, so you get some songs as well. And you get to sort of see things before they happen by being a Patreon supporter. Thank you for the reminder. Mortimer James reminding me that Spooky deserves some coffee money. She does such good work. Yes, Spooky did this thumbnail for tonight and helped me prepare for this whole show. This has been our most attended show ever. I think we had 450 people in the live chat at the height of this, which I'm completely and totally blown away by. I can't believe that many people showed up, but it shows you what interest there is. Now, I got I have something that I gotta address here, and you know, I might, you know what? I might not even. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I just have to tweet something really fast, so please bear with me. All right. Now I've tweeted out what I wanted to tweet out. So along with everything went pretty positively tonight. I really tried to stay on the positive side of things and this and that, but there's always somebody, right, messing with my zen. There's always somebody messing with my zen. All right, let's take a look here. I'm just going to share my screen. All right. Another show host says, please, for the love of God, do not promote this douche on the FTB feed. Thank you so much. That's a hashtag, Jimmy Church. You don't own a hashtag. So henceforth, I am going to hashtag every single show I do with that hashtag. With other relevant hashtags, but I'm going to do it with that one too. Because here's a message for you, Jimmy Church. You got the first interview. How much research did you did? Did you verify her employment? Did you verify her military service? Did you verify her employment history? Did you verify and somehow, through a miracle, find that the people that she was talking about were real? Were you poring over satellite maps for 2 weeks looking for that alien mountain? No. But I was. He could say whatever he's going to say. His interview was a softball UFO circle jerk. And we didn't do that tonight, despite what people say. I believe that it was a good interview. We asked hard, challenging questions. We pushed her for more information, more evidence. We didn't just let her recount the same story that she told in her press conference. So he's going to say whatever he's going to say. He's just a little butthurt. That's all right, Jimmy. Get over it. Get over it, Jimmy, because I'm coming for you. You don't own a hashtag, buddy. You don't own a hashtag. I can hashtag whatever I want, and so can people sharing my show. Maybe they were hashtagging it so people can compare and contrast between our two interviews. And, you know, I was kind enough to even include your interview in the About section of my show. And I didn't say anything negative or derogatory about your interview, but you don't want people to hear mine, right? Shows what a great guy he is. Why don't you go, Jimmy Church, and sell some more fake garbage on your show? Why don't you sell your listeners some more medbed sessions for $250, or some more guests telling people that they could cure autism with camel milk and essential oils, Jimmy Church? Why don't you do that? All right? Now, I'm not going to let him upset my zen, okay? Had a good night tonight. I had a good night. And, you know, I'm not going to get too negative. But, you know, some things I have to address. And when you call me a douche on your public Twitter feed, what do you think I'm going to do, right? What do you think I'm going to do? Just ignore that? You don't own a hashtag. That's what I'll say. If people want to hashtag that, deal with it, bro. Deal with it. You have been able to sell scams and have guests selling scams on your show for years. You made a lot of money selling garbage, and now there's a new person in town that is challenging you, that is saying you don't care about your audience. You're letting people sell literal new age scams on your show, and you don't like that. So every time that you sell a new age scammer on your show, I'm going to talk about it, Jimmy Church, and I'm going to hashtag it FTB, because I have the right to do that. Now I'm getting upset. All right, I'm going to calm, get my zen back. It's okay. It's okay. We're okay. Jimmy Church is blocking everyone who retweets me. That is beautiful. Block them all. They'll come to my show instead of yours from now on, Jimmy Church, because I don't run UFO circle jerks all the time. You do. All right. We're over with this loser, right? What's this guy, like, pushing 60? Still acting like I'm cool. You should see how cool my studio is. It's so cool in here. I wish you could see how cool it is. Great. And Shirashi is asking, please organize a part 2 of this interview. I will try. I'm going to try to do that, right? Yeah, and I'm chilled. I am chilled out now. I'm okay. I'm okay. He upset me, okay? I'm human. But, overall tonight was very positive. I want to keep it that way. And that's where we're at. So I'll take some comments and questions from the chat, but we're already at 2 hours and 38 minutes. And I wanted to keep this under 2 hours. That didn't work out because, after party on the Discord. Absolutely. We'll do an after party on the Discord. Nicholas Karupas has been blocked from Fade to Black for 3 years. I'm going to make a whole video and we're going to make it funny. Like, have you been blocked by this show host because you asked a question he didn't like? Because he's an intellectual weakling and he can't take questions? Then fine, come and come to our show where you're allowed to ask questions. And I have to say, look, I understand some people tonight were like, you didn't ask hard enough questions. I was trying my best to ask hard questions, but still be respectful and not be nasty. You don't need to be nasty. All right, and Miss Jackalope Johnson, by what methods have you verified the Mountain Wayne are real? By public records, by speaking to him on the phone once, by real estate records, by satellite maps showing his 100+ acre property and the mountain that is on it, and through Anjali's verification. And yeah, that's where we're at. Ian Burrell says you did a great job, Stephen. I think we did pretty good, and I'm okay with things as they, look, I got to be honest with you. Sometimes I do an interview and later I beat myself up. I go, I should have asked this. I should have asked that. I should have asked. I should have went harder. I should have went softer. And I pick it apart in my brain, and I'm not very satisfied. But tonight, I'm at least satisfied. I did what I set out to do, which is ask this huge list of questions that nobody else could ask her. I got to. So for that, I'm thankful, both to her and to everybody here that came into the audience. I think I'm satisfied. I'm not going to say I did a great job or even a good job. I'm going to say I did a satisfactory job, and that's all I can ask for sometimes. I'm human. I know some of you would have asked different questions or asked her harder questions or pushed her more or been, even nasty to her. That wasn't my intention here. So that's where we're at. Nicholas Krupa says you run a great show. Well done. Yeah. And people are telling me I did well, so we'll just take it at that. Yeah. The higher being said that nobody can own the earth, so you could go onto the mountain and technically it wouldn't be trespassing. Yeah, I agree with you. Troubled Mind says they admire me. Brass balls this guy has. Yeah, that's where we're at. And you can join the Truthseekers Discord right here, thanks to 6 Cents. And I want to thank all the chat room monitors. I was watching as closely as I could, but I also want to thank the entire audience, because I think the entire audience was more or less respectful. People were asking questions, but nobody was really nasty. We had Matthew Riot bowed out. I'm sorry you did. I'm sorry you didn't like the questions. I did my best here, Matthew Riot, and I'm sad that you jumped out early. Scott Brown is here and said I did a great job, Steve. That's high praise coming from Scott Brown, who's just as skeptical as me about all this stuff, right? Oh boy, what a strange world. And I saw CW Channer in the live chat earlier, and I want to say I'm gonna meet him soon in person. And when I do, I'm not sure if I'm going to hug him or punch him in the face. Because he once said something like, don't just listen to the stories, become a part of them. And I went, yeah, you really can become a part of these stories. Somehow I started hearing about this Anjali girl, and now I'm part of the story. So you too could be. Get yourself a microphone, a webcam, start a podcast. It's an amazing adventure, the likes of which you have never experienced in your show before. That girl Jessica said that she was getting tired, so we didn't want to keep pushing her, that girl Jessica. V says, I was kind and respectful. Yeah, and I hope that people, one thing that upset me, V, is not that people had a perception that I was going to be nasty or argumentative or humiliate her. It's that people really didn't know. They haven't watched my interviews to know that I wouldn't be that way towards a guest. I'm always respectful. I may ask questions that a guest doesn't like. I may check them when they're lying or when I believe they're lying or whatever, but I'm going to be respectful. And I hope for future guest reference, I can use today as a shining example of how one of these woo people can have courage and let somebody offer them really hard questions, probing questions. Did the best that I could with that. Yeah, I'm not apologizing. I'm working it out, Erica. And thank you, by the way, for your help, all your help. You and Scott Brown and Charlie Weiser and others who have really, really done a lot to make this. It wouldn't have been possible without the help of many of these other people, right? So I want to make sure that I thank them and, make sure that I recognize them. James A. Conrad, Charlie Weiser, Erica Lukes, and Scott Brown, and we have Rich from GoofOn, Alien Addict as well. One thing we didn't get to, but it's in the description of the live chat, if you're interested in this story, and this is something that gives me pause, but somebody was on the Alien Addict show a year before her story telling a very, very strikingly similar story, which means, I don't know what that means, but I just found it interesting that somebody was telling a very strikingly similar story to this one. So what does that mean? Does it mean that she copied her story? I don't know. Does that mean that two people are having similar experiences with alien bases inside mountains, so they're corroborating each other's story? I don't know, but it's worth listening to that interview and exploring the possibilities. I'm very interested in this story. We're going to continue to cover it here, especially when December comes and she does this expedition. We're going to do everything we can to see if she's got the proof, see if she's got the evidence. We're going to follow the story and may do future shows, maybe even including her if she's willing. I'd be more than willing if there's new developments that are worthy of talking about. So that's where we're at, friends. And, we're already at 2 hours, 45 minutes. So we are going to definitely cut this short. I want to thank it's not short, but I'm bouncing out of here. I've got some other things to do tonight. And I want to thank, the Sixth Sense. Thank you all for participating. What an incredible evening that we have had tonight. Highest rated show on Truthseekers ever. Over 450 people in the live chat to witness this interview. I hope you all, especially new people, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. It really does help. Hit that like button. Hit the unlike button. You give me a thumbs down. It's all engagement. I really, I don't know. Share this channel link on your social media and make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help. The algorithm likes that. So we try to please the algorithm. Praise the AI algorithm gods. Please find favor in tonight's work and raise us in the search engines. Please do not strike us down if we say that letter of the alphabet you don't like or anything else you don't like. We pray for your favor because we worship the Google AI algorithm gods. In Google's name we pray. Amen. There's my daily prayer to the Google AI algorithm god. But you can help us with the Google AI algorithm god by liking and sharing this video. It really, really will help get us a bigger audience. Get us a bigger bullhorn. I would like a bigger bullhorn. Everybody wants a bigger bullhorn. Let's get me one, right? And everybody, that girl Jessica's here saying definitely we all had fun in chat. I'm glad that everybody had a good time. And, I'm glad that we could do this because this is something that people said that'll never happen. Never say never, friends. And I think that we got a good understanding between her and I. Maybe we built some rapport and now she knows that I'm going to be respectful. I'm not going to be nasty. So she'll feel more comfortable with me in the future. Stranger things have happened, friends. So that is where we are at, friends. That's where we find ourselves here on this strange journey. So glad I could take you with me on this journey. That's what is so much fun about this. I get to not only do these things, but I can bring you all with me, take you with me, and you guys get to experience it as well. Yeah, Charlie Weiser's reminding me that I gave it a 50-50 chance of falling through. Well, she did recently no-show on a show at the last minute, so I gave it a 50-50 of whether it was going to happen. And interestingly, the show started at 9 p.m., and it was like 9:03, and she still wasn't here in the green room, so I thought this wasn't going to happen. And I was very disappointed. I've never been so happy to see somebody pop up on my screen as being in the green room as I was tonight. And again, we want to thank our guest, Anjali. I'll be providing links to her projects on Reddit and her website. I'm going to update the description video as soon as we're off air here. And William Pixley, I heard your question about Octorians, but she never mentioned Octorians as a race that she talked with. She mentioned tall whites, grays, and a mantid being, never Octorians. So I'm sorry, we had limited time. I couldn't fit everything in, and I apologize to anybody whose questions I could not get in. Did the very best that I could. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, friends. You only have so much time here and so many, at-bats. And I swung for all I could tonight, and I hope you guys, acknowledge that or appreciate that or just understand that. Did the best I could. And thank you all for your participation. I always say this. I'm always happy when there's an audience, friends. And tonight we had the biggest and probably best that we've ever had. That live chat was flying by so fast. I got to see how huge shows deal with things, right? Because it's a lot harder when that live chat is going brrr, right? But thank you all for your participation. Thank you for people for suggesting that I look into this Anjali or that I research her. Do a deep dive and try to find more evidence because it has been an enjoyable experience doing so. We're going to continue to follow the story. I hope you will continue to follow us. And for people new to the channel, I want to mention that we cover all things strange, paranormal, mysterious, UFOs, cryptid creatures, all those kind of things, but we do so with sort of a tongue-in-cheek and somewhat, some would say, very skeptical approach. But it's always fun, and it's always a good time. That's our point here, to have a good time together. And I sure had a good time tonight, and I hope you all did too. So I want to once again finally thank my guest, Anjali, for having the courage to do this. People said it would never happen, and it did. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambian. Good night, and God bless all of you.